Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It is Tuesday, the 28th of September. It's a pretty warm morning already if you are already out and about. So that's definitely something I noticed when I got up this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely still. That's the part that I noticed. But it is still the great start of a great day and winding down to the end of September. September festivities 2021, the second in a pandemic, is over. And we're moving forward. You know what comes after September, right?
Yeah, well, Christmas.
I know, I was tempted to see, some people say Halloween, some people say November 19th, and some of us go all the way to Christmas, especially if you love Christmas.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely, that's why. And then when I say Christmas, I just mean the whole time period. I'm not even talking just about the day. I'm already looking forward to the food, so.
Yeah, and here's hoping that we're able to get things stabilized by Christmas time. We know last year it was a very challenging time because we weren't able to celebrate the way we normally do with loved ones. Very often people are moving all over the country and attempting to get together with family. Just haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, I know. We can recall that's the season of, the staff parties at Christmas and being with the family, having big extended things, especially on Christmas Day, Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Every family has their own tradition, and of course it's been different last year, and that's more or less how we've been having to cope with a whole lot of different things, and especially since we were talking about September, how significant the change has been over the past 2 years. But the thing is, we do get through it, and we are finding innovative ways to still stay connected. So with that said, I'm still looking forward to the season.
Yeah, September for me, it's my birthday month, but even more so, I have a lot of family birthdays in September. So it is extremely festive. It's not just Belize's birthday, but everybody else is in between. And it's interesting because it just doesn't feel the same. And I think we've all been struggling with that. So I am hoping that by Christmas we have things under control. Yesterday we had a conversation with Dr. Beer and Dr. Koi. Dr. Beer from the Ministry of Health, and Dr. Koi is a part of the COVID committee or advisory group, but he's also an OBGYN. We were focusing on maternal deaths, but I also was very interested in one of their responses looking at whether or not we have peaked. And they're saying that, we're still not quite at the peak yet. And then after we peak, if we're able to really get things under control, the typical estimates in epidemiology is 6 to 8 weeks after. So if we can really just kind of rally together, be cognizant of our own actions, keep our friends and family accountable as well with following through on protocols, we may have a better time at around Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, if you have been following all the latest updates from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, on the topic of whether or not we've gotten to the peak yet, you'll know that, we have been seeing a consistent rise in cases, more or less at least 100 a day we've been seeing for about the past, about 2 weeks, just about. The latest figures from yesterday, we got the update from the weekend tally, and there are, of course, over 340 confirmed new cases. It brings our active cases up to over 1,900. Unfortunately, there were 3 more deaths over the weekend, and it is really, really concerning. We talk about it all the time on the show, but whenever we see numbers climbing, we know what it means. Not only families and people, families are hurting, people are, passing away or being admitted, and we also know that the healthcare workers are also dealing with a severe, severe burden.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I think one of the things that we always have to take into consideration is the fact that all those active cases out there, those are the ones reported. And we do know that while Delta, the variant, Delta has, we've been told it's more transmissible, it still holds true to the very common thing that we knew about COVID-19 last year in 2020 with the original strain, which is that a number of people will be asymptomatic. They'll get it, they won't know, but the harsh part about it is that they will pass it on. So with 1,900 recorded cases that have either come through the system because they displayed symptoms or because they were traced as close contacts, we have to consider that there are far more cases out there than that.
Absolutely, and I think that's important to keep in mind, that, especially if you're accessing public services such as public transportation, whether you are going to any business establishments that get a high number of high amount of traffic, you do have to treat persons who you come into contact with, almost as if they have the virus, which is why it is important that even if you are fully vaccinated, that you do have to maintain all of the safety protocols that are advised by the Ministry of Health and generally the international medical community. And, those are things, we've said it 1,000 times, and you haven't heard it only from here. You've heard it, I'm sure, from your boss, from your family members, from your kids. Keep your physical distance of at least 6 feet if possible. Wear your mask, wash your hands frequently, at least for 20 seconds each time. And, eventually we're going to be able to get through this together.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. But of course, while we continue to talk about what we need to do to get ourselves out of this pandemic, the big news from the weekend, and of course the unfortunate update, is that the teenager Dwayne Gabriel passed away yesterday as a result of the gunshots injuries that he received on Saturday evening. And the country is definitely mourning along with the family. Watching the reports yesterday, we heard politicians, community members, the family, the commissioner of police, all just speaking with such sadness about this incident. And I think that for me, one of the takeaways that I reflect on when I hear the stories is just, Gavin, I hate to say it, but we've been here before. And it pains my heart because it's not just, it's not being dismissive of this particular instance. It's just, I keep on questioning what's going to be your tipping point. Will this be it? I don't know. But the biggest issue is that we have to be able to take a sober look at ourselves and our community, or level of engagement, and start to demand changes, but also make changes for ourselves within the communities.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, when I was following the news over the weekend and last night, of course, it was very, and you did rightly say that this is not the first time that we've seen something like this happen. But in this particular instance, it was almost, it was almost a bit personal for me in the way that I felt the news, because Dwayne was a third form student. He was going to SJC, St. John's College, which is, the high school that I went to. So of course I could identify immediately, and I couldn't imagine, I would be going out one day while I was in high school just to go buy something, and then I would be the target of a crime like that.
Because of what you wear, which is what the speculation is at this point.
Exactly, and it's real, and it really is telling of the crisis that we're in right now, especially for young black men. Because we see that, more often than not, when we're seeing reports in the news, they're the victims and they're getting younger and younger, and the perpetrators as well. And it says, and you know, we have been in this crisis for a long time, and you know, it does require us to look at ourselves, and you know, decide what we as a society are going to do about it to ensure that, you know, everyone is safe, and in particular our youth.
Yeah. Well, you know, I keep on going back to it. I say the biggest mistake you can make after an incident like this is try to hurl all the blame in one direction. You know, I think ultimately the gunman is responsible, but there are lots of societal factors that has led to the point where we have a society where something like this can take place. And the Belize Police Department is only one element of it. And you know, it's not what we like hearing, because we want to believe that they're going to be the ones to crack down on crime. Fine, that's factual, but I think that if you look beyond just the individual crimes that are committed and the people who get involved in this way of life, there are deeper issues there, and those issues cannot be resolved overnight. They take an immense amount of investment to be able to help families to be stronger, to help to empower young men who don't make it through school, who are attracted for some reason or the other to gangs, who feel so, who lack such empathy that they would pick up a gun and kill somebody without thinking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're right to also point that out. You know, the thing is that police are intervening at the point that the crime is going to be committed or about to be committed.
Or after. Yeah.
And or you know, after. And when you think about it, you know, you have to think about what it says about society at whole, and you think about the person who pulled that trigger. We don't know who he is yet, but presumably he's a younger person. And we have to think about all that happened that led up to that. How is it that a young man in our society got to that point where he felt that he could pull a trigger, take somebody else's life innocently? You know, how is it that he got access to a gun? Why is it that he's involved in this activity in the first place? What does it say about the circumstances in which he grew up, the people who are around him, his community, the whatever institutions, school-wise, whatever other resources, what failed? You know, what was the failure in his bringing up that allowed him to get to this point? And it's multifaceted. And so we can't always just want to focus on what are the consequences or how we deal with the consequences then of all of these failures.
Yeah.
We have to intervene earlier. And just like the disease, just like in a disease, its prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we have to start looking at seriously. And we have to be innovative, you know, because we've been here. We get press conferences.
We get statements and condolences.
And you know, thoughts and prayers. And then it happens again in the next 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. And it's a pattern that's been going on for at least the past 15 years, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's very sobering and concerning, you know, to me personally, and I'm sure to everybody else.
Well, you know, I mean, Gavin, I'm no social scientist, but let's just look at what we know. We know that our young men are more prone to drop out of school. We know that close to 60%, if not more, of our population are living in poverty. We know that there are pockets of our country where it's mostly single mothers raising their children. We know that there are real basic needs not being met. We know that gang members and gangs in general have been able to continue with their own level of organized crime with minimal intervention, besides an occasional state of emergency. We've enhanced our laws to be able to ensure that people who even ascribe to a gang can be held accountable. So we know some of the issues that are there. Now, I'm not telling you I know what the fix is, and I know that this is a problem that, if we're very honest, will never go away, but something has to be done to curtail the situation that we're in. And so I hope that as we light our candles and as we put together or Facebook posts and or tributes in condolence for the loss of Dwayne Gabriel, I hope we think beyond just that particular action and realize that we have to pay attention to what strategies are being introduced, what measures we feel are going to actually help in meeting some of the deeper rooted issues that are contributing towards our crime.
No, absolutely. And I think that with that said, I mean, we can't be pessimistic and we can't be defeatist about this sort of thing, because we don't have to accept this as a status quo. And I remember, you know, I remember when I was in university and I attended a lecture by Dr. Cornel West, who is pretty, you know, he's a pretty prominent scholar in the United States. You know, he was speaking generally about the issues of social justice. And I remember one quote that I remember clearly him saying was that us as a society, we can't become adjusted to injustice. We can't allow that to be the status quo and say, all right, well, there's going to be murders and there's going to be robberies and so on and so on. And we just have to adjust and, you know, build fences and barbed wire and stuff. That's not how it's going to work. And the thing is, it wasn't always like that in Belize. So it's not necessarily, when we compare it, you know, ourselves to different countries which have lower crime rates or whatever, it's not because of resources or not. It's not only then because of resources and things. It wasn't always like this in Belize. It wasn't always like this in the rest of the Caribbean. Things have changed over time. In this case, negatively, but that doesn't mean that it can't change for the positive in the future.
Yeah. And we have to pay attention. You know, yesterday we had representatives from the IT vet on, and the Belize City IT vet talked about a drop in enrollment of almost 50% during the pandemic. And so let's look at the children or the young people who access this service. They've either not completed formal education, or for some reason felt that the academic route of the formal school system wasn't for them. They attempt to take up a trade. Now, whether it's for financial reasons or whether because online schooling is so close to academic schooling, they've chosen not to return. But these are the things that are part of the erosion that starts to take place. So what happens to the rest of that population? What are they doing? They become even more vulnerable to being recruited to criminal activity. And I feel it's tough for me to talk about it because I feel, you know, it feels like a soapbox. And I know that there are many organizations and community groups in this country that are working very hard to be able to kind of just chip away at this problem. But that's just it. We're just chipping away and we haven't found the right strategy to be able to see some effective change. This is a video I know that's floating around where Father Scott from the Roman Catholic Church went out after the news of Dwayne's passing to lead people in prayer. You know, I think that's a great example of showing different stakeholders involved, the church community, the business sector, supporting programs where children can stay in school or get involved in extracurricular activity, build their hobbies and find ways out of this way of life. But we can sit back and throw that blame and look at the police department, who have a big chunk of the responsibility here. I will not move away from that, but that does nothing to change the situation.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, it would be very nice if we didn't have to have police in the first place, you know, in the sense that if we tried to do the interventions earlier, then, well, in the sense that the police, their job would be, you know, or we should say the burden would be less on them. Because if, you know, we take this multifaceted approach and, you know, sort of apply a sort of collective responsibility when it comes to, you know, what we demand of each, you know, service when it comes to schooling. But we also demand of ourselves as individuals and how we, you know, raise children and how we communicate with our family members and try to keep people, you know, on the right path, as it were. You know, it's going to take time, of course.
Yeah, but sometimes it does take kind of that decisive, we're gonna do something. Mandatory education. Mandatory education in this country is up to 14. What happens after 14? You know, if you don't make it to high school, you're not your parents don't have to send you to school. Why don't we increase the age so at least secondary education is mandatory? There are little things that we've talked about for a long time. I know they come with an expense, but listen, I mean, it is a part of, we are going to continue seeing problems unless we work towards strategic solutions. And there have been studies. I love what you spoke about, the quote from Cornel West saying, you know, you mustn't adjust to injustice. And unfortunately, I think we've done that. I think we see these issues take place. We do what helps us to feel consoled to get through the moment, and then we move on to the next issue. And then, you know, it takes another murder to happen or another heinous act to happen, and then we just go through that cycle. So we got to shift our thinking.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, but that's it. I'm off my soapbox. I'm sorry. I really, but it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. I think we have to save the younger population from becoming perpetrators and from becoming victims, because this is not the Belize that any of us want to live in or the Belize that any of us are proud of. But let's move on. All right, so we got our eye opener for this morning, and that's going to shift us to something a bit more inspirational. And it's taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. When the world is in chaos, we can still have our own inner peace and maintain a sense of calm in the sea of unrest. People who maintain their sense of calm when things around them are in a state of flux and confusion are always wonderful to be around. We feel calmer just being near them, as if they have activated our own sense of inner peace. From them, we learn that we can be calm even when everything around us is in turmoil, because we know that no matter what happens, this inner sense of calm will help us to function well. Often, times of confusion are the times that enable us to find that part of ourselves that knows how to cope and how to be a light to others in the storm. It helps to remember that we don't need to completely understand what's happening right now, nor do we need to be able to predict the future. Most of us just want to find our way to being at peace with whatever happens, and we can find this peace inside. Cultivating our inner clarity with meditation, journaling, and reading words that inspire us will lead us to that place inside us that's already there, just waiting. Isn't that fitting?
Right? I know, I was thinking that same thing. And I think last week we had a similar eye-opener that was talking about how to find that inner sense of calm and peace. And I remember, as I've done several times, you know, I speak about the ways that I can do it, that I try to do it, and try to practice it. And I think that it's because it's really important for me to be in a good and comfortable mental space just to function normally.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, when it comes to making decisions, to doing, you know, your job, and even just maintaining relationships properly. Sometimes balancing everything can be a lot, especially, you know, and other people can probably relate to. Everybody has their own challenges and struggles, and even just your daily. And the thing is, what I find is, you know, every now and again, you know, we have to face something very big, you know, we have a big issue or whatever, but it's really the daily struggles and the daily routine that sometimes gets, you know, and the keeping up with those responsibilities day in, day out after the years go by. You have to be in a good position to do that. And I think that finding that inner calm helps you deal with that and generally live better.
Absolutely. So that is the eye opener for this morning. We're moving right into a weather update for today, and we have forecaster Derek Redun on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right, so tell us about our weather for today. Our prediction is hot.
Yes, it will be warm today, and mainly fair in terms of rainfall.
Okay.
We're expecting mostly sunny skies today, partly cloudy tonight, with only isolated showers or thunderstorms.
Okay. And our winds?
Okay, winds will be generally light from the east at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state will be slight.
All right, let's talk about those temperatures. How warm will it be?
Okay, we're expecting temperatures of 88 along the coast and at the Keys, 94 inland, and 81 up in the mountains.
Okay. And the low temperatures?
Okay, lows for tonight, we're expecting 79 along the coast, 73 inland, and 66 up in the mountain pine ridge.
Okay. And what is our outlook as we head into the middle of the week for Wednesday?
Okay, we can expect continuing mainly fair and warm weather with just isolated showers and a chance of a thunderstorm developing.
Okay. And are we monitoring anything or any systems in the regional that we should be concerned about, any at all?
Not in our area. There is Hurricane Sam east of the islands, but it will not enter the Caribbean. It's about 600 miles east of the northern Leeward Islands. Not expected to enter the Caribbean at all. Then there are 3 other systems, one with a medium chance of becoming a tropical depression, and that is actually the remnants of Peter. And then there are 2 more over the tropical Atlantic, one closer to Africa and one about 1/3 the way between Africa and the island. Both of those have high chances of becoming tropical depressions during the next day or so.
Okay. So while it's calm for now, we got to keep on monitoring.
That's correct.
All right. Well, Derek, thank you so much for that update for today.
You're welcome.
You have a great day.
Same to you.
All right. There you have it. Look at that radar image. Nice and clear.
Yeah.
Should have been the weekend.
Right. I know, I was thinking that same thing. But I mean, as I saw the clear radar, I was thinking, yeah, sun, hot.
All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today.
Yep. And we've got a lot of interesting conversations lined up. Our first topic, or our first segment, we are going to be joined by the Attorney General, and we're going to be getting an update in relation to a lot of things that are going on in her ministry and some of the changes that we can expect, both related to some of the COVID-19 regulations and some others. And that's going to be our first segment for this morning.
All right, the second part of the show, we are going to be talking to representatives of the Belize Tax Service. Yesterday, you saw the launch of the Integrated Revenue Information System, also known as IRIS. But what does it mean for you? And when tax time comes around and you have to be able to file whether it's income tax or pay your monthly business tax? We'll tell you those details in the second part of our show.
And finally, we are going to be getting an update from Belize Electricity Limited about some of the exciting initiatives that they have coming up. And they're going to be talking about what they've been doing for Health and Safety Week, as well as some of their other projects that they have going on. And that's going to be our final conversation for this morning.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take that break. But before we do, we got a birthday shout out. And we're saying happy birthday to
Ria Thomas. So Ria, from all of us at Open Your Eyes on Channel 5, we hope you have a very happy birthday and we wish you many more.
All right, and we're going to take that break. When we come back, we'll have Attorney General of Belize, Magali Marin, with us to talk about the latest regulations coming out with COVID-19 and other matters that her ministry has been working with. So that's coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher?
or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV. Entertainment anytime, anywhere.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
And we are back. And if you're joining us right now, we are just getting our first conversation for this morning started. And we are joined by the Attorney General, the Honorable Magali Marin Young, Senior Counsel, to talk about some of what the government is doing, not only to combat COVID-19, but also to get some updates from some of the other areas that fall under her ministry. So good morning.
Hi, good morning.
And thank you for joining us. We definitely appreciate your time for coming in. Now, for a lot of our viewers, of course, everybody is a bit anxious about the upcoming October 1st change to the COVID-19 regulations. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how it is that the government went about crafting these regulations when it comes to, especially in the context of, we've been hearing a lot about, you know, whether or not it goes too far, it's a violation of rights. So can you talk about how how you came to, or how you came to develop the regulations that will come into effect?
Okay. So the government has a duty to act. It has a responsibility to act. The legislature and the executive have a duty to enact laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Belize. And one of those laws that we have been enacting since the onset of the pandemic has been laws trying to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, the laws have had to be have evolved, and the medical community has had to continuously assess the virus and the variants of the virus. So if you notice, the laws are have been changing depending on what the medical community advises. Right now, we have the main variant that's plaguing Belize right now is the Delta variant, which is highly infectious. And the medical community has described it as a game changer. If you notice, we have a surge. We have in excess of 400 deaths. Last night, the Minister of Health and Wellness informed Cabinet that a nurse from the public health sector passed away. Had only taken one shot, not the second vaccine, and unfortunately passed away. So Delta is a game changer, and the government has had to reassess the position. And it has a responsibility to act. It cannot sit by and do nothing. It has to protect the doctors and nurses at the medical facilities and the employees at the medical facilities. It also has to protect members of the public in general. So as a result of that, based on the medical advice from the medical community and the COVID-19 task force, the Minister of Health has recommended that we enact regulations that will require persons to be vaccinated to access public facilities. So that is what the government will be enacting, and that will come into effect the 1st of October 2021.
Now, we have not seen the legislation as yet. I know there was a consultation period that has been taking place, but the minister did disclose to the media, and by extension the public, as to what the intent is behind these changes. The first being that persons would need to show proof of vaccination, whether fully vaccinated or at least the first dose, to enter public building and spaces. And the second was a shortening of the time span, looking at presenting negative tests for PCR and rapid. Is that where the regulations are at this point?
Yes. So let's be clear. There is a big difference between making vaccines mandatory and the proposed action or the proposed regulations that the government intends to enact to come into effect the 1st of October. Vaccine mandates require every single citizen to take a vaccine. That's not what is coming into effect the 1st of October. What is coming into effect is that for you to access a public facility, such as government buildings, that are owned by statutory bodies, Social Security, DFC, etc., KHMH, you will be required to show your vaccine card or to produce a negative PCR that's been taken within 96 hours or a negative rapid test within 48 hours. Now, there will be exceptions to this, and in terms of public health facilities, it will be medical emergencies. But if it is your day-to-day checkup, you do need to produce a vaccine or negative PCR or rapid tests.
Now, I hear the explanation, and it's very clear the difference between saying every Belizean must take the vaccine versus you either show proof of vaccination or proof of a negative test. But while that's what is stated, in practice, it is also entirely improbable that an individual Belizean can afford the cost of a rapid test every 2 days, even more so a PCR every several days. So is it not mandatory in practice?
Well, we don't consider it mandatory in practice, but the government is looking at allowing for these tests to be done at cost. All right, the Minister of Health and Wellness is presently assessing the costs to do so. But so I don't want to say that that's a given. That's something that he will announce in due course. But you know, we have to, at this stage, we have to see it not as, okay, we're forcing you to take a test and or produce a negative, or produce your vaccine card to access, and therefore this amounts to mandatory vaccination. No, we are giving the general populace an option. And if we are able to absorb the cost of it, then really and truly it is an option that members of the public, because it will be of cost, you will have to queue and take that test, but you have that option.
In the regulations, who will be required to check for vaccination cards or testing?
I think it's the head of departments for each government department or government facility will have to put in measures to check. So I am assuming from a practical perspective, it would probably be any security personnel at the door entrance.
And what do you, what would you respond to people who have, have been saying, either on social media or otherwise, that perhaps this step is too far, or that even people have said it's an infringement on rights. So, making the vaccines mandatory, even though you've already said it's not. But how would you respond to people who are still sort of stirring up that sort of sentiment?
Well, I think it's a misunderstanding of fundamental rights that we all enjoy under our Constitution. Those fundamental rights are not absolute rights. We live in a society where we have to give and take to live peacefully and safely together as a community. And so the Constitution provides express limitation to those rights. One of those limitations is, in fact, public health and public safety. Well, our public health and public safety. All right, so fundamental rights are not absolute rights. Let's get that very clear. We as a community have to give and take so that we could live safely together, so that we could live peacefully together. And so that's a misconception that I enjoy this absolute right. No, this right has limitations. The Constitution has stated that in every fundamental right that is recognized under the Constitution. All right, the only one is, I think there are some limitations in terms of inhumane treatment. I don't think those limitations are provided for under the Constitution. But if you look at every fundamental right recognized, there are these limitations.
What's interesting too is that this is very unique to our Constitution as well. I think we interviewed Professor Belle Antoine, and she was speaking of how the Belize Constitution, because it has the inclusion of public health, it made us stand out in what we would be able to do. in ensuring public safety.
And I think the right I think it's freedom of the freedom of the person, I'm not sure, but one of them specifically is limited to prevent the spread of infectious disease. I think that's section 5, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. You know, in that same conversation as well, we also talked about, you know, given that the government does have the right to do it, the question then is one of, you know, proportionality and reasonability, and coming to that, you would have, of course, received the advice, you know, from the medical community and the Minister of Health. And are there other sort of considerations as well behind that, behind these decisions too?
So, government is being very studious in enacting these regulations. And it is being guided by the experts from the medical community. But government also has to consider the wider public interests and in balancing and deciding what regulations to put in place. So in addition to hearing from the medical community, government also has to balance the wider economic interests of Belize. All right. So medical expertise are advising you need to do this to prevent the spread. And then the wider community, government has to consider, okay, if I put in place these measures, what would be the effect? And we need to get back this economy going. We are heavily dependent on tourism. And so it is important that we contain the spread, that this third wave, we bring it under control so that we could have a tourist season come the latter November 2021. So it's a balancing of interests, all right, including being guided by the medical experts.
Let's step back for a moment because there are some areas that will need clarification. You spoke of government buildings and statutory bodies as well. Those include public health facilities. What will take place there?
And please understand that our legal drafts people are working right now with the task force in developing these regulations. But the idea is that government has to protect the healthcare workers at these public facilities. Unfortunately, we lost a nurse last night to COVID. All right, so and we've lost 3 medical doctors already. I think it's 3. I stand to be corrected. So we have to protect. They are on the front line and they are exposed. Now, if there is a medical emergency, there is an exception to accessing public health facilities, but government has a duty to protect healthcare workers and those who use these medical facilities, members of the public.
But I'm trying to understand how that works. So if I visit or if I want to access healthcare, I will be required to either show proof of vaccination or a negative test to enter into that health facility to access care.
Yes, so the idea is you either have to produce that you're fully vaccinated or you have to produce that you've taken your first shot in the case of the AstraZeneca, the Pfizer, those that require more than 1 shot, and the time for your second shot has not yet lapsed. All right, so you can show that you have taken your first shot and that would qualify.
Or a negative test.
Or a negative test. So it's either a rapid test done within 48 hours or a PCR test done within 96 hours.
So, but if I am, you know, out of breath, I fall, I have an injury, and I'm taken to one of these clinics and I'm not vaccinated, I will be able to access care.
For public emergencies, yes.
Now
medical emergencies.
Yeah. Now, what about the business institutions, though? Because that's kind of been one of the gray areas. If I have a business that is open to the public, is that considered a public building?
All right. So initially when the discussions start, we were thinking of all buildings that the public access. But Minister Shevat has been in consultation, and for right now we're only doing public-owned facilities owned by the government or by a statutory body controlled by the government. All right? But there is nothing to stop private businesses from enacting these same regulations.
How so?
Because it's their property and they can control who enters their building or who do not. Similarly with their employees, they have a contract with their employees and they have a duty to safeguard their employees. So they can, from the perspective of controlling persons who enter the building to protect their employees, and also their employees requiring that they be vaccinated or produce a negative PCR or rapid test to protect fellow employees.
So you are saying that individual businesses can in fact enforce their own vaccine mandate?
Yes, that is correct. The state, it's not up to the state to mandate that they do so. The state, they are free to do so. It's their property, it's their business, they get to control who accesses it. At the end of the day, it's a business decision because some people are concerned of loss of business and so forth. But as it currently stands, and again, it still engages the same principles that government has to engage in balancing. Whatever decision the private business owner takes has to be decisions that are reasonably required to protect its employees and its business. It also has to consider, for example, if you expose your employees, you have a lot of sick days, you're out of business because if you recall, and members of the public will know, we've had to close several government departments because there is an outbreak in a department. Sometimes that is 2-3 days to allow a full sanitization of the premises. That's loss of business, that's loss of revenue. So just like government has to consider that, the private business owner also has to factor that in as well.
And what legal grounds do they have to do that? Is it simply just because I put my employee at risk?
So let's start firstly, it's their property.
Okay.
It's their business. Correct. So that's in terms of speaking of the premises. In terms of the employees, it is what is reasonable. What is reasonable, because they have a duty to protect their employees from the spread of COVID. All right? And employees have a duty to each other to keep each other safe as well. So once the measures being required by the employer are reasonable, are based on medical expertise and prescriptions, then it is likely to be upheld. It is likely, so, but currently there is private businesses, private landowners are not governed by the constitutional provisions, all right? Different laws in terms of private land ownership, employee relationship, govern those institutions, those businesses, as opposed to government departments. But at the end of the day, it all has to be in what is reasonable, what the medical community is prescribing, etc.
Okay. And looking at some of the international trends that we've been seeing, certainly in Europe and even in the United States, some governments have been taking even more drastic actions in terms of, let's say, requiring, perhaps even all government employees to be vaccinated, or they'll be let go. Things like that. Is that a road that perhaps the government might consider, maybe depending on the level of emergency or something further down the road?
Well, to access a government building, even employees will be subject to these regulations, all right? And unless you fall under the exceptions, you will be required to produce your vaccination card or undergo these regular testing, the rapid and PCR tests, all right? So employees will have to take that decision whether to vaccinate or not vaccinate to access government buildings. No. There may be situations where an employee can work from home, and depending on the head of department, that may be allowed. But if it is not possible, it is impracticable, or it is not, they are unable to supervise their employees, then the employee will have to take the vaccine or show up for that test regularly, or if they refuse, be subject to disciplinary action, including dismissal.
What are the exceptions that you keep on mentioning? What are the legal exceptions for not having to get vaccinated or produce a test?
Well, let me just say that it's being worked on, but there are the exceptions. One of the exceptions being considered is medical. You have to be medically certified as being allergic to the components of these vaccines, but that is being worked on right now by the medical community. So in due course, we'll know very shortly whether that will be provided as an exception, because the idea is to prevent the spread. So if you're allergic, then you'll have to undergo these PCRs or rapid tests. But I will leave that to the medical community to ultimately decide.
Religious purposes, will that be an exception?
This is not vaccine mandates. Let's get that clear. If you're going to make vaccines mandatory, then you do have to provide, or depending on what medical community prescribes, because as I explained to you, these fundamental rights are all subject to limitations. And if we have to protect life of the general public, then we need to do what we need to do, right? We can always provide an outlet for those who feel strongly about it. Then you won't be able to access public buildings or go into private businesses, etc. But these are not vaccine mandates per se. All right, these are the legal buzzword is soft mandates. All right.
But so I won't be able to say that for religious reasons I am exempted. Provide something from my pastor or diocese, or
these are not vaccine mandates. You have a choice. You either take the vaccine and show your vaccine card upon entering these public buildings, or you take your PCR tests and the PCR tests or the rapid tests, and you produce those. So the law gives you an option. If you object to these on religious basis, you have an option to go do your PCR. At the end of the day, we need to provide for the safety and the public health, the well-being of those who use the facilities at that building, the services at that building, those who work there. And so we have to protect the wider public interests, but provide an option for those who may object.
You've repeated quite often that there are consultations ongoing. Who's being consulted with to finalize the regulations?
So the medical community, there is a task force that Minister Shabat consults, and that task force is the one that gives the different prescriptions. Minister Shabat also consults the wider community to get a feel of and sharing what the medical expertise are recommending, and so That's the consultation, both from the medical experts and also the wider community.
And from your end as the legal draftsperson, what's the consultation with other countries as to what they have, or looking at other countries as to what they've implemented and what fits? Because it seems very clear that there will be legal challenges to
Yes.
this, to the newest regulations once they're passed.
Right. So we've done comparative legal analysis to ensure that whatever is enacted is something that we could defend in a court of law. And our constitution is similar to those of other countries in the region, Jamaica, Trinidad, and the OECS. So we've been looking at, how they have, what they are enacting. We have been looking at the various legal opinions coming from those jurisdictions. So we've done a comparative analysis. We've also done a wider comparative analysis in terms of what the European countries are doing, what works, what doesn't work. But we are primarily guided by the experts. So if the medical community tells us this is what we need, then our job is to draft it and make sure we can defend it legally in a court of law.
And to be clear, when you look at the other regulations in other countries, where does Belize fit? Are we more on the rigid end, or are we more on the softer end?
I think we're in between. Yes, we're in between. The extremes would be France.
Where restaurants, bars, any place you want to go, you have to show your vaccination card or test.
Right.
Which you have to pay for.
Yes, so you have extremes like France, and then I don't know that there is any country that has not, maybe North Korea, because they may be in denial that they have this virus.
They have no COVID.
On the extreme end, but most countries have been proactive to curb the spread. This is a worldwide pandemic that has no borders. So we are all looking at each other and seeing what you're doing, what works for you, what doesn't work for you.
Now, let's tap into what I would say is kind of a common weakness of our system. The vaccination cards are printed on paper with a stamp and a regular pen signature. When the time comes to be able to show proof of vaccination, where's the accountability? What's the check and balance that what's being shown to me? One, that it is this person. So when I show Gavin's card and I say, look, I'm vaccinated, how does anyone verify?
So what the Minister of Health has informed us is that whenever a person goes in to get vaccinated, they're actually entered into their BHIS system, which stands for Belize Health Information System. And so there can be a cross-check with the vaccination card to ensure that, in fact, you have been vaccinated on their system. That is how they were able to discover that there were some vaccine cards that were being fraudulently issued because there was a cross-check with their system. But I think the Ministry of Health is working on an app that persons may be able to download that will give you a QR code. I don't know how soon they'll be able to get that out, but I know that they've been looking at it. But for the meantime, your vaccination card with cross-check, if necessary, spot checks with the BHIS system.
So there will have to be a computer check of sort at entrance of public buildings to ensure that the vaccination card you present is legitimate.
I don't know that they will be able to cross-check everybody. I would assume that they may be doing spot checks, but it is available to check the BHIS system.
So that's a weakness going into.
That's a weakness, and I mean, it all depends on the integrity of persons at the healthcare facilities to make sure that, you only sign off if you actually can verify the person took the job.
And I think at this point we can shift gears a little bit because because there are some other updates as well. On the topic of public buildings and public services, it was reported last week that you took a visit to the Vital Statistics Unit and to perhaps conduct, an evaluation, and you had also stated that there are some changes that are going to be coming in the near future. So can you talk about perhaps some of the changes that we can expect to see in that office?
Yes, so the Vital Statistics has been a unit that is in dire need of upgrade in terms of services, its operations. And we've known this, but we've had some limitations. Firstly, we cannot expand personnel. There is no space to place any new hire at that unit. So we are confined in the expansion of persons because of the location where it's at. So one of the plans is to relocate the Vital Stats. And the building identified is the Charles Bartlett Hyde building. But we have to wait until the Belize Tax Service disoccupy that building. They will be going to the Eleanor Hall building, which is being built as we speak, being finished. We are hoping to relocate them by the first part of next year. We are told that the Eleanor Hall should be finished by the end of November, and that will give us December to relocate, renovate, and relocate. So once we're able to relocate, we'll be able to hire and, ease the backlog. The next big move for the Vital Stats is to digitize its entire operations. We have to scan all the records. There are some records that, have, as I was sharing on another media house, as incredible as it sounds, rat has eaten, silverfish has eaten some of it. It's been difficult to preserve in this humid climate, some of these records. So we plan to scan them and create a database, a search engine that will enable persons at the Vital Stats to process. Right now, when you go into Vital Stats and you fill out an application, there has to be a physical inspection of the records. And that's why you go in the morning and you have to collect in the evening or whenever they tell you to come back, because there has to be this physical inspection. If we digitize, create a database and search engine, the persons at the Vital Stats will be able to verify from their desk. We also want to develop an online portal for members of the public to apply online. And that will obviate the need for the long lines at the Vital Stats right now. So we're hoping in short order, but because of limitations with having to wait till one building finishes to the next, but we are fully committed to upgrading the services there.
What immediate changes have you been able to make? We know that Vital Stats has been a headache for just about every administration, but also a very concerning unit that, if not managed properly, can lead to very serious issues. From the public standpoint, I've been to Vital Stats where people come from the furthest village and say, I'm back here again. Yes. We don't even consider the expense that it takes for them to travel to just get a simple document.
Yes.
So what have been some of the immediate interventions that have been taken to start to alleviate the strain on workers and the public?
Yes. So Vital Stats has several challenges. Upon taking office, I was briefed of, alleged corruption taking place. And what we've had to do is replace personnel at the Vital Stats over a period of time. But that means we bring in new employees, we have to train. And so it's been, I cannot honestly say that we have improved since taking office. We've been managing, but we do have limitations because of the space and having to try to curb corruption. But we'll only be able to curb corruption, I feel that the digitization will greatly help, because you'll be able to see who is, which applications are being processed. They should be processed temporally at the time that they're applied for and paid for, as opposed to somebody paying somebody in there to expedite their application. So a lot of it, I mean, it's all tied in with the expansion of personnel and also this digitization process. So we've been managing. I can't say, but I can promise that we intend fully to improve the services there. We are working diligently on it. All right.
And we are getting, sorry about that. We are, just about running out of time. But I believe we also have a little bit of an update to share about changes that may be made in the judiciary that we can expect soon as well. Can you mention just a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, there are several.
Elevator pitch version, right?
So we are getting, we've appointed 3 judges to the Court of Appeal, itinerant judges. So that court will now actively be hearing court matters come October. And so we hope to get, well, that court will be up and running. The Supreme Court, the Commonwealth has agreed to provide us with 4 judges to primarily help with the backlog in criminal matters, but also 1 to assist with civil matters. We are hoping to get them on stream before the end of the year. We've been in touch with the Commonwealth to try to get them. They're coming from Canada, New Zealand, and Jamaica. So relocation, we have to plan on those, but that's in the works so that we'll be able to clear the backlog. There is a shortage of magistrates. And so we are presently in the process of recruiting. I think the Judicial and Legal Services Commission has shortlisted applicants and will be conducting interviews very shortly to recruit magistrates. But the problem with the recruitment for magistrates is there is a lot of young applicants fresh out of law school, and we want to make sure we have mature persons sitting on the bench to be able, because you are really deciding serious and solemn matters pertaining to the liberty of persons and so forth. So yes, we have a lot of applicants, but we have to be very careful and deliberate in choosing who we select. All right. So that's in terms of the recruitment. I have also, through Impact Justice, have gotten, Impact Justice has agreed to provide us with 2 consultants to be able to analyze the magistracy with a view to enact some legal reforms. The laws, the Inferior Courts Act and the Summary Offences Procedure Act are outdated, have not been revised in years. And so we hope to update and revise those pertaining to the magistracy. We also, I'm hoping that we'll be able to enact a code of ethics for them. We'll also want to put in rules of procedure. One of the biggest complaints is the adjournments.
Everybody's case get adjourned, yeah.
Yes, the adjournments. Another complaint is that there is no consistency, uniformity in the handing down of sentencing. So one magistrate is considered lenient, the other one is considered strict, and so we need sentencing guidelines for magistrates. So through Impact Justice, 2 consultants have been hired to do an analysis of the laws with a view to legal reform for that court. Plan Belize also calls for a restructuring of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal. and we are looking to those. We are in the process of reviewing. The restructuring primarily involves restructuring of the administration of the court. And so we in very short order, will be engaged in consultations with stakeholders, and we are working on those.
Seems like we need to have you back just to talk about the reforms in the judiciary, but we do appreciate you taking the time to come in to explain especially the regulations that we should be expecting when it comes to vaccinations come the end of the week. When will it be published?
It's coming into effect the 1st, which is Friday.
Yes.
I am assuming either by Wednesday. It should be signed by the minister, but again, because there is constant assessment with the medical community, I don't want to speak, but I know it's being worked on.
Well, we thank you for coming in. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, speaking of digitizing services, we'll be able to pay your taxes online. We have a Belize tax service coming up to talk about their new Iris platform. That's coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky, and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
At Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials. all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we're getting our second conversation for the morning started. And we are talking with representatives from the Belize Tax Services. And we are getting to know all about some of the new services and initiatives that they are providing to the general public. Joining us for this conversation, we have Lisa Clare, who is the Deputy Director of Belize Tax Services, and we also have Michelle Brown, who is a manager from the tax service as well. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us. This is a great initiative, which we like to get a chance to talk about. Now, primarily we're talking about digitization, or a change or a move towards more electronic access to some of your services. Can you talk about the major changes which are going to be available coming soon or now?
Well, this will be a major change for the Belize Tax Service. We've never before had an online portal where taxpayers can actually log on and file and pay their taxes. There were facilities provided by the banks previously so that taxpayers could get their tax obligations fulfilled. But now we actually have a portal where taxpayers can file the returns and file all the available returns that they're currently filing, and they would also be able to pay their taxes. There will be a linkage with the bank so that they can access their bank account to pay their taxes. Ms. Michelle can talk a little bit more on all the different features that this new system will have available when we go live in October 4th.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What I will basically will be going over is the functionalities of our new IRIS system, which will give ease and effortless access to taxpayers to their tax account. The first thing taxpayers will do is to proceed to get their online account registered or open via our tax portal. They will create this account, and then when they create this account, they will get access to their entire data that the Belize Tax Service has. Okay. So, as I stated, they will start off with creating the tax account. They will send in an authorization letter. Informing the department that they have already created their online portal. This authorization letter will include the name of the person, that their main user who they want to give access to their tax account, which will include the person's name, their social security number, and they will also attach a copy of that person's social security card. This is for us to validate that the person that they're providing access is a person that they want to give this authorization to. When all of this is completed, taxpayer will have a full functioning tax portal that will give them access to file all their returns online, which will be their GST return, their tax return, their lottery tax, the PAYE monthly return, contract tax, indemnity payments. All payments that they would be making monthly can be done online. They will also be able to make payments online. In the first startup phase, because the system will be done in several phases, and this is the first phase, which will be filing and payment. The taxpayers will be able to still come in office to make payment. This will be for the small and the medium taxpayers.
Okay.
For the large taxpayers, they will be required to file online.
So
that will be a requirement.
So it's going to be what bracket? When you're talking income tax?
Okay, so the large taxpayers are the ones, like Michelle mentioned, that will be able to file online. We have our taxpayers segmented.
Yeah.
So they're large, the medium, and the small. The large taxpayers, they know who they are because they are a select group, and we've already met with those taxpayers. So they are clear on who are the persons that should be filing online, who are required to file and pay online come October 4th.
Yeah.
These taxpayers, though, if I can just go briefly into the categorization of these large taxpayers, they are from different sectors like the insurance industry, the banks, and they are persons who have contributed, who their revenue exceeds 5 million or more. And those persons, we've already approached them, like I've mentioned, and so they know who they are, and they know that they're the ones who are required to then file and pay come October 4th.
So this phase service will start with large taxpayers using the system first. What's the timeline for the general rollout for all businesses and persons to be able to use the online service?
Let me just clarify, Marlene. Whilst it's required for the large taxpayers to file and pay online, it will be available for everyone. So even if a small taxpayer wants to file and pay online come October 4th, they will have that ability. What Ms. Michelle Brown had mentioned previously is that whilst we are aware that some of the smaller taxpayers may require some guidance, so we still will be providing that in-office assistance. So if those taxpayers do not feel comfortable to start file and pay come October 4th using the portal, they can come to our office and we will be providing that guidance and holding we may refer to it as they get used to doing all their tax obligations online.
Let's step back for a moment and kind of talk about the process of putting this together. And, you know, we just finished a conversation with the Attorney General who's talking about digitizing things like vital stats. We've spoken with the Ministry of e-Governance about their digitization process. How long has IRIS been in the works? And I mean, how big a step is this for the ease of doing business for the country?
Well, conversations have been going for quite some time with Belize to modernize the tax administration. But the decision was actually made in late 2018 for us to modernize the tax administration here in Belize. A program was implemented, MTAB, Modernizing Tax Administration Belize, where we looked at, there was a two-phase approach for this modernization. First, it required the integration of two of the former tax departments, GST and income tax. So those two departments were merged. That helped to eliminate some of the processes that, for instance, a new business that is created, they would have previously had to go on to GST, then go over to income tax to perform some of similar functions. So that eliminated some of those functions that persons had to do when they started up their business, as well as, you know, complying with the other tax obligations, such as filing their returns and making their payments. It also required, as you rightly mentioned, we had to digitize because our previous system that we had, it could not, function, could not take on the functionalities of a modern tax administration. And so this new system was procured in June of 2020. What was notable about all of this, Marlene, is that, of course, you are aware that at June 2020, we were in the heart of the COVID.
Yeah.
And so the persons, the vendor was not able to come to Belize. And so we had to do this virtually. We had to go through the scoping where we looked at every functional area of the system. We had to review, go through the scoping, ensuring that whatever had to be customized to meet the needs of this modern tax administration, to meet our functional needs. Because even prior to purchasing the system, it was advertised all the business requirements or entire business model or different requirements for this new tax administration was advertised so that this system that we were receiving would be customizable and would be able to meet the needs of the modern tax administration that we are striving to reach. And so all of this, was done virtually with the assistance of all our staff. We have to say, kudos to them for taking on this challenge of adapting to this changing situation.
So 2 questions I have, just as a potential user. 1, how safe is it? And 2, how easy is it to use?
Well, with the security, people always will be concerned with the security. Our systems are hosted by CETA, and that will not change. They still continue to host our system. And CETA is ISO 27001 certified. So we have that assurance that it will be very secure. The system on its own have its security features. So that is something that we can rely on. And taxpayers will, as they begin to use the system, become more and more comfortable and will be able to see also for themselves that it is a secure portal for them to use.
Yeah.
As it relates to ease, it's very easy. So I notice you have a video here showing it will be easy, but Miss Michelle, our manager of taxpayer services, she will have her staff there assisting and guiding persons along the way, showing you, as well as our website will have these tutorials that can assist and guide taxpayers in complying and using the system.
That was going to be my next question. How does this help to solve the compliance issue?
Well, in regards to the compliance, the system allows us to be integrated with third parties. And compliance is something that we have to be able to manage. We will be able to, we will have integration with systems like the Customs Department, for example, where we can validate or verify information that is submitted to the department, as well as we are working towards integration with the company's registry so that we have all persons and other organizations, like eventually the town councils, the city councils, where we are able to get information to have everybody within the tax net. Because for businesses, it is important that your business do not face the tax burden alone. We have to get everybody that should be paying the taxes within the tax net. So this will help us along that line.
And Michelle, perhaps you can talk a little bit about how the system has been received among the other employees at the tax service, how the training was like, and how what feedback you perhaps have received so far.
Well, at this point, it is great that the staff has been very receptive as it comes to the IRIS system. We have had staff, all our staff are actually trained already to utilize the system. We had some staff, countrywide staff, that were brought to Belize to do the user acceptance of the system. So we had staff actually going through the system, ensuring that the system provides and do the functionalities as required by the BTSD department. Currently, we will have staff who will be assisting taxpayers in creating these online accounts and navigating through our online tax portal. So staff have been very receptive, which is great, and we want to commend them and give utmost thanks for continuous support with the new system. So at this point, we don't have any negativity from our staff at this point.
So with a rollout that starts on Monday, you've officially launched it. I think you've said very clearly, Lisa, that the conversation was initiated with those who will have to use this system or before the actual launch. Talk to us about how people who need extra assistance will be able to access, whether it's someone who can talk them through the system or if they run into any hiccups that may happen in the first few weeks.
So like I mentioned, Miss Michelle Brown, she actually will, and within all our branch offices, there will be a computer in our lobby or the foyer area so that persons who may not have maybe internet access, they can still come to the office and there will be someone right there actually log onto the computer along with them for them to go through the actual process. As well as we've gotten a number of cell phones for our Belize City office as well as our district branches. And these cell phones there will be persons manning these lines to actually provide step-by-step assistance to persons who call in that will require that additional guidance.
And in terms of is there a goal in terms of, let's say, population or amount of persons you want to become integrated into the system, perhaps, in the short term?
Okay, well, our hope, we are rolling it out. We want everyone, we are looking at doing this in a phased approach. Like Michelle Brown mentioned, we roll this out. Every single taxpayer will have the ability to use the system, to use this portal. But October 4th, it's required for the large taxpayers, and then we'll eventually roll out and say the medium taxpayers, we require that you use the portal only, and eventually our smaller taxpayers. But it has to be done in a phased approach for persons to get used to using the system and to be really ready to use it. So that will be done, and we hope that maybe within the next 2 or 3 years that we'll have everyone actually logging on and using the portal, and you will see it's so easy. You don't really need to come to the office for the tax services that you require.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And the feedback, I imagine, has been great since the launch and since the original consultations?
Yes, definitely, especially in light of the environment that we are in right now. Persons are relieved that this will be available because if you've ever visited our offices during the busy periods or tax day, the 15th, the 14th, there are lines sometimes almost to the end of our or the fence in the yard. So persons are relieved that now, this service will be available, that they can get to file and pay and just jump online from the comforts of their home, from the comforts of their office, and be able to fulfill their tax obligations.
All right.
It will also assist with the paperless portion of it, because you know, that's where the continuous, we have loads of papers in our office. So this will also assist in that area to eliminate the paper.
Yeah.
A few more functionalities, Marlene, if you don't mind, that taxpayer will be able to receive notifications based on their refund status, the due dates, the filing dates for their returns. So they will get direct notifications. They can also send notifications or queries. They will be able to query assessment. If they receive an assessment, they will be able to query their refund status. They will be able to ask for certificate of assessment. These are things that we do at our front line that they will all be able to do from the comfort of their home, as Ms. Lisa stated. So even registration process, taxpayers will be able to register online and receive their tax identification online rather than having to come into the office. So there's a variety of other functionalities that this system will provide for the ease for taxpayers and the effortless access that they won't even have to come into the office. They can view history of their payments. They can go and view the summary. There's a ton of services that will be provided with this new online portal.
Nice. Well, we want to say congratulations to you and your team for successfully putting it together, and it has been launched to the public as of yesterday, and the official rollout starts on Monday. Thank you, ladies, for letting us know what you have been up to.
Thank you for having us.
All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of Belize Electricity Limited. It's the annual Safety and Health Week, and they have some essay competitions and much more to tell us about. So please, stay tuned.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
My name is Dr. Gabriela Guerra. I am the wife of Dr. Kevin Rafael Guerra and sister-in-law of Dr. Kenneth Raul Guerra. Both of them passed due to COVID complications on December of 2020. My husband was the first one lose this battle on December 12th, and 18 hours later, my brother-in-law Kenneth passed away also. My husband and my brother-in-law, they was a troublemakers, double trouble. They had a lot of friends there and make a jokes and everything every time. They never take us seriously, nothing. They was very generous people, very compromised with their career. We share a lot of good times and memories that actually fill my heart, no? And I live from my memories and the time we share together. The worst thing about lose a loved one, no, due to the COVID is your loved one be alone, admitted at a hospital without you, without your cares. You can say bye, you can give the last kiss, you can give the last hug. And that's very painful. I think that's the worst thing. I miss the guy shared with me 12 years of my life, the best ones. I miss my son's father, the guy who played with my son every time and tried to teach football techniques to my son. For the ones maybe out there say the COVID not real, okay? Or pain. And the pain for everyone who lose a loved one. It's real, okay? The struggle is real. If my husband or my brother-in-law, they maybe at that time could have the opportunity to get the vaccine, they will not have a problem to say, I will get it, okay? I will get my vaccine. So if you have this opportunity, take it. I hope my testimony helped to change something in your mind. I'll probably take the best decision the next time when the doctor asks to you if you want to take your vaccine. If you don't want to do it for yourself, try to do it for your family, okay? To be safe, for your country.
Cumpleaños feliz, te deseamos a ti.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Moving into our final conversation for today, where we're joined by representatives of Belize Electricity Limited, and they are going to be discussing the activities surrounding their annual Safety and Health Week and their essay competition. We have with us Sheena Garnett, who is the Senior Corporate Communications Officer for BEL, and Zane Fitzpatrick, who is a Safety Specialist at BEL. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, viewers. Thank you for having us today.
Okay.
Good morning, Belize. Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, Marlene.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate the time, and this is, of course, a pretty exciting week for everybody, being that it is the annual Health and Safety Week. Before we get into the specifics of what's going on, why don't we just give our viewers a little bit of a refresher, and perhaps Zane, you can talk a little bit about, give a little bit of a background of what Health and Safety Week is all about.
Thank you, Gavin. Good morning, Belize again. My name is Zane Fitzpatrick, the Safety Specialist for the company. As Gavin has mentioned, we are celebrating our 20th annual Health, Safety and Health Week, all right, under the theme, embracing the new normal and future, working together, focused and safe, all right. We have celebrated this in the past, where we celebrate safety of our accomplishments during the year, and we continue to promote safety throughout the year. As you guys know, that electricity is serious business, and so safety have to be a part of every single thing that we do. We continue to offer training to our employees, training such as first aid training, our linemen, receive training every year so that they can execute their tasks safely. We offer things such as the first aid training, CPR training, and things of that sort. All right. Since the onset of the pandemic, we also are very vigilant in incorporating these practices to protect our employees, the family, and the community that we serve. Okay, so the Safety Week, in essence, just celebrate the safety that the company has ingrained within them.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, because there are quite a few practices that you have within the company itself. I mean, things like hard hats and some of those protection mechanisms are one thing, but it even goes all the way to seat belt use and how you park your cars. So the idea of safety is pervasive in all interactions at the company. Tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so Marlene, the safety culture is very strong at BEL. I mean, it's at the core of everything that we do. Let's look at what the safety culture is. Well, it's a combination of values, attitudes, perceptions and patterns of behaviors that determine our commitment to and the style of BL's health and safety management. I mean, we ensure to provide a safe and healthy workplace in compliance with all relevant legislation requirements and in accordance with leading industry practices and standards, hence the safety hat, the hard hats, or safety boots, the fire retardant shirts that our operational team wear. We're also very passionate about ensuring that our employees live healthy lifestyles and ensure the safety of the public as well. So, you would see throughout the year, we have seasonal safety messages with the public across all platforms: kite safety, Easter safety messages, hurricane safety, rainy season, power line safety messages,
Christmas lights.
Right, Christmas lights. So, likewise, our employees and even the contractors that we work with in the field, we participate in regular training to ensure their safety while conducting these works. So it's at the core of what we do. And, bringing it home to the theme of our Safety Week, as well as what Belize and the entire world is experiencing right now. Since the onset of the pandemic in 2020, we revised our safety, health and environment action plan to include measures that directly relate to mitigating the spread of the COVID-19 virus. What does this include? It includes the establishment of a pandemic plan, which has three main objectives. The first one is to safeguard the health and well-being of employees and their families, maintain the continuity of safe and reliable services to customers and the public, and to help prevent and contain the spread and impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic within Belize. So the plan speaks to employees, it speaks to the continuity of services, and it speaks to our role as a company and the contribution in mitigating the spread of the virus in the entire country. Just to add a little bit more. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, because I know that a part of your safety plan for COVID is that you've had quite a few people working from home since the start of the pandemic, ensuring safety for employees within the workplace.
Exactly, indeed, and that is a part of our plan. It's a part of our containment measures. So it included at first, and this was from the onset in 2020, to identify all at-risk employees and have them working from home, and that is still present today. We had a migration to a virtual working environment where we actually set up home offices for employees. We would bring their desks to them, purchase chairs, ensure that they're able to operate comfortably and provide the services that our customers need. Staff that would need to report to work we do that on a rotation basis. And if so, only one person per office space is allowed at any extended amount of time. We went as far as retrofitting the restrooms countrywide in all our offices to touchless faucets, soap dispensers, the toilets and urinals, double swinging doors, all to reduce the employee interaction with physical surfaces to help minimize exposures. We have the outdoor customer service for bill payment, and those are they're in the booth, they're isolated in the booth. So these are all part of our plan. Just to touch a little bit more, because Zane can provide more information in his discussion. We also had established a COVID-19 coronavirus preparedness and response team internally that is made up of employees from several departments. Zane and I are board members of that team, and our role is pretty much to provide recommendations and guidance to safeguard the well-being of employees, their families, and the public.
Nice.
So that's one of the things. One other thing is that we also established the role of a COVID-19 safety coordinator that is attached to Zane's department, which is the Safety, Health, and Environment department. And that role is pretty much to oversee and champion all aspects of DL's comprehensive approach to protecting the health and well-being of employees against the impacts of this pandemic.
I love that you call it a culture, and it's very clear from all that you've outlined how detailed your approach is in ensuring employee safety, whether it's for COVID or just in the risks associated with their jobs. But my question is, how do you extend that to the public, knowing that you have physical infrastructure that the public interfaces with, whether it's meters or whether it's lampposts and the very unfortunate incidents where people try to steal electricity from posts or other people? How do you spread the culture beyond the internal workplace?
Well, for us, Marlene, it's about sharing knowledge, giving people, our staff, because at the end of the day, this is not just about BEL, like you rightly said, it's about everybody. So we equipped our staff with the knowledge that they need to ensure that they are working safely and to manage the public spread. So we, Zane's department and Zane himself went around teaching how to properly use the masks, the N95 and the KN95. We equip our employees with hand sanitizers and disinfectants for their vehicles to ensure that, if they do come in contact with any surface while doing their work, they are able to sanitize and protect themselves as well. The picture there is Zane doing one of his many safety sessions.
Yeah.
So when we interact with the public, as it relates to the customers, we don't have paper bills anymore. We eliminated that. We do billing by SMS now or by email or the BEL 24/7 app. So we try to put things in place on our end to ensure that whatever we are doing, we have the safety of the public at heart to ensure that our interaction is as controlled and as manageable as possible.
Right, and as Sheena mentioned, that we send out flyers every so often, the kite flying season, Easter season, during the hurricane and flood, we advise, we send out safety advisory to the public. For example, one of the things that come to mind when you ask that question is the danger trees. We ask the customers or the larger community we serve to identify trees that may be potentially dangerous during a storm and contact us so that we can help get rid of that tree so it won't pose danger if the storm should hit it and it comes in contact with one of our infrastructure.
So let's bring it back to this year's week and how we're going to celebrate and how BEL is celebrating its annual Health and Safety Week. Can you talk about some of the initiatives or what that you're going to do to celebrate health and safety this year?
Right. So we had our virtual opening ceremony yesterday, where we have a bunch of activities that will be lined up throughout the week. We will be speaking to professionals who will talk about items that align with our team, how to cope within the scope of the pandemic, prevent job burnout, things of that sort. What we used to do pre-COVID was invite the primary school students on the last day of our safety week to an open day fair, where they would partake in the activities that different booths had to offer. Since the COVID, the way that we got the primary school to be a part of to continue to be a part of our safety week was the safety week essay competition, health and safety week essay competition, forgive me. All right, and so this is our second year we are facilitating that competition, and it was quite a success this year again.
Yeah. And so you have the primary school competition, and you also have the high school competition. I know that you have the winners of the primary school competition, and they, as we can see on the screen there, they won some fantastic prizes. But I am just so curious, what was the content like when you read over? I mean, how many entries did you get, and what was your reaction to the content that the primary school children submitted?
Right, so we received 169 submissions from primary schools throughout the country. And it was an interesting read. It is interesting to look into the minds of our children. And one of the resounding message that kept coming across all the essays that I read was that they were optimistic. Even though they were not happy, not being in school, not being able to interact with friends, they were very optimistic. Some even took the opportunity to start little businesses. Some were happy to be home, as that gave them the opportunity for their families to be closer.
Yeah, yeah. And you had for standard 4, 5, and 6. What I find interesting, and we have the winners there on screen, congratulations to all of them. But it's also from all over the country, from Pachacan to Key-Cocker, Belmopan, Belize City, Orange Walk. Is it always the case that you get so many different parts of the country participating in these competitions?
Yes, Marlene, we invite school countrywide, and we want to get as many schools as we possibly can, and hopefully next year will be bigger and better. So we appreciate all the submissions that we receive. Thank you very much, and we want to again take this opportunity to congratulate all owners and the schools.
Yeah. And what was from the winning competitions, winning essays that were selected for 4, 5, and 6? What were some of the strongest messages that gave them the edge?
Some of the strongest messages that we received for the women was that they, again, were positively optimistic about the outlook of COVID and how they were handling the new normal. All right. I must mention that we selected our winners based on a criteria-based rubric system, and so those essays had aligned itself with those criteria. All right. So, for example, how well did the writer of the essay align their essay with the theme, their imagination, and how well they were able to bring that out in the essay.
Okay. And the high school competition, that is still open.
Yes, indeed. It is still open. Marlene, Gavin, for us, these essay competitions also serve as a way for us at BEL to continue to provide assistance to the communities we serve countrywide. These are challenging times. So through these essay competition, these students are able to help themselves and also to provide an opportunity for their school to receive, much needed assistance. Prior to the pandemic and, with the onset of the pandemic, we have increased our efforts to provide, we increase our efforts and seek opportunities in communities that we serve to provide assistance where needed, whether it's to customers, to families, to community organizations, as well as in the education, health, human development, and national security sectors countrywide. So yes, the essay competition is just one of another initiatives that we have as a company.
Yeah.
The high school essay competition is still ongoing. The deadline for submission is this Thursday, September 30th. So with the success of the primary school safety and health week essay competition, we decided to have a competition that would be focused towards high school students. However, it remained in line with our mission and our commitment to continuously seek innovative solutions to modernize the energy services landscape in Belize. Our mission says we deliver safe, reliable and sustainable energy solutions to enhance the quality of life and productivity of enterprise and to support national development. So it is with this in mind that these high school students are being brought into the discussion to provide consumer insight at their respective levels. So, we hope to get some creative concepts around the team, which is pretty much my vision for the future of energy in Belize.
Nice. And the prizes are fantastic. They were great for the primary school, $3,000 for the winning school and $1,000 for the winning entry. For the high school, it's a laptop for first, second, and third, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there it is. It's a laptop and $2,000 for first place and $3,000 for the school. And then second is laptop and $1,000, and third is laptop and $500. You're also giving these prizes out to each form. So there'll be a winner for first, second, third, and fourth?
Correct. There will, in each form, there will be first, second, and third place. So first form, first, second, third place winners identified, second form likewise, all the way up to fourth form.
Okay. And for high school students who are used to pushing on a deadline, they have up until September 30th, which is Thursday, to get their entries in.
Indeed, yes. We're inviting all high school students countrywide. Participation is easy. Submit essays between 600 and 800 words explaining in their own words what their vision for the future of energy is in Belize, submitted to the email by the deadline. Our email is essay@bel.com.bz. It's supposed to be submitted in PDF format, and the other guidelines are on the poster that you have up. And go ahead and submit it and enter for a chance to win some awesome prizes.
Okay.
All right. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers before we close, Sheena?
Sure. We'd just like to thank all the participants for the primary school essay competition. Encourage all high school students to submit their essays, and remind everyone that even though our offices are closed, all of our services remain available. They can message us via WhatsApp. We have individual WhatsApp numbers for the different parts of the country and the keys. Those WhatsApp numbers can be found on our webpage at bel.com.bz. They can call us toll free at 0800-225-2273. Message us on Facebook to see how we would be able to provide assistance. Send us an email. There's so many ways that you are able to reach us and for us to assist with services. And we also remind everyone to remain safe, stay safe.
Yes.
In this time, it's very important. And I just like to say as well, Marlene and Gavin, thank you for having us on the show today. It was a great conversation.
Well, thank you too for letting us know more about the safety culture there at Belize Electricity Limited, and also congratulate our young essay competition winners from the primary school competition, and let the high schoolers know that they still have their chance at least up until Thursday. Thank you once again, and you continue to stay safe as well.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. And with that, we'll take our break. And when we come back, we got Trending Talks with Gavin coming up in a few. So please stay tuned.
The Social Security Board, in collaboration with the Labor Department, takes this opportunity to remind insured persons of the requirements for compensation when on sick leave. Any employee who has worked with an employer for at least 2 months is entitled to 16 working days of sick leave with full pay every year. This is how it works. Upon approval of a sickness or injury benefit claim by SSB, 80% of the employee's weekly insurable earnings is paid as a Social Security benefit, and the difference in the employee's salary is paid by the employer. This is to ensure that the employee does not suffer any loss of wages when ill. After 16 days, compensation for sick leave is paid as a Social Security benefit only. Some conditions apply. This message is brought to you by the Social Security Board and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform.
Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go.
You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code.
Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle.
The future is here with eCash.
For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
Belize at 40. Hopeful hearts, steady hands, together we rise. The entire SMART family wishes all Belizeans a safe and happy September celebrations. SMART, bringing people together.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are just getting some trending talks started for this week. We've had a packed show today, but we still wanted to end off talking with a little bit about what's been going on social media, both in Belize and in the rest of the world. And so we are going to be talking about some of that today. Now, internationally speaking, we saw a pretty interesting survey that was done recently. Usually when we talk about food, we talk about what is the most liked food. But recently there was an international survey done that talked about what is the most hated foods and the fast food chains in the world. And so we do have so there was a poll that was done, and they rated it by each country. And there's a map that shows the distribution of what by which country which is the most disliked fast food chain. And so some of the results that we saw were super interesting. We saw that in the USA, Domino's Pizza was one of the most hated one. We see the one that was pretty frequent, as we could see is Wendy's. We see that in a couple of South American countries, Australia. I think that's probably one of the most common ones that's about all of the countries, and I wonder why. I was wondering if it had anything to do with the square hamburgers. Maybe people just like the round ones, but Wendy's is one. Starbucks is also a big one that we could see that was quite frequent, and Domino's Pizza. Surprisingly, I don't know why. What is the issue? Because Domino's is pretty popular and you see it everywhere you go. KFC, it makes a lot of mention all across the world. I noticed that you didn't see that in the Caribbean, because if you've ever traveled anywhere in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Vincent, Barbados, everybody loves their KFC. I know. And of course, Belize didn't show up on the survey because we don't have as much or any of these franchises, but it doesn't mean we don't have fast food here. Of course, we've got our favorites. We got our fried chicken, we got our meat pies, all kinds of stuff. Doesn't seem to be able, because we've tried to have franchises here, they don't seem to work. And I think it's because our food is nicer, but you could let us know too. Let us know what some of your favorite fast foods are. We are going to be running a poll on our Instagram, and that's at OIE Belize. We're going to be asking a question. So what's some of your local favorite fast food? We want to know. Perhaps we'll get them on the show. Perhaps we'll have some giveaways. You never know what can happen, but we will definitely not be bringing any KFC or Wendy's here, because apparently that is what internationally seems to be pretty unpopular. We're not sure why. Now, taking it back to some local trends which we've been seeing, We are almost at the end of the month of September, and we know that September is a month of celebration. We're celebrating a lot of things that have to do with Belize and Belizean pride. We're coming to the close of the month right now, but in addition to the celebration, we have had to change things. Of course, we're adjusting to this new normal, and doesn't mean that even though things are a bit different, that we can't make a little bit of fun out of our circumstances as well. So we're gonna be showing you some of the best memes about September in Belize, which we've seen. Just gonna give you a little snapshot. So this is one of my favorite ones that we saw earlier today. We're talking about me to move to Hopkins to avoid the early curfew. We know that we've had to deal with a lot of regulations, a lot of curfews, and we know that the most recent restrictions, Hopkins, Placencia, San Pedro, they get a little bit of an ease up. So we've got, one of my favorite images whenever I see it in Belize driving along the highways or anything, we've got somebody moving their whole house. So that's one of my favorite memes as well. This one, infamous, if you've ever been online, Twitter, Instagram, whenever people are hashtagging Belize, people, please pay attention if you're watching to this segment that the Belize flag emoji is this one. It looks like our exact flag. The first flag at the top, I've seen all of this. The first one, this is not Belize, this is Guam. Actually, with the Guam flag, it actually has Guam written on the flag. So you can't see it because this image is kind of small, but there's no excuse for that one. Second one, very, very popular. I see it all the time. This is not Belize's flag. I know some people might think maybe the emoji people, they couldn't get all the details. No, this is a different country. This is this is Laos, this is the Laotian flag. So when you hashtag Belize and you add this flag, you are doing something wrong. So I've even seen people hashtag the flag. So that means people in Laos are probably seeing and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what about the 21st of September means to them. This is not the Belize flag. Please stop using it. And here it is. You have all of it. You've got our whole coat of arms. Everything is here. So please make sure that the next time you can type in Belize, the flag pops up right up on your predictive text. So no excuses, guys. And we've got one more to show from our favorite memes. And we talked about this a little bit in the beginning of our show. Look, we've got a comparison between September 2019, September 2020, and September 2021. We know how all of us are feeling since we're not able to have as much carnival, as much fun and jump up as we used to have. And this meme is talking all about that. So we can see the different stages of all of us as we celebrate our September. Want to shout out Belizean rice and memes, and also Belize memes where we got some of these. And of course, if you got some memes we want to share it and you want to share it on our show, let us know. Send us through Instagram or Facebook. But we love sharing memes. We love sharing fun. We love to laugh. And we know you do too. So that's just a little bit of our trending talks for this week. And we hope you enjoyed, and feel free to send us some more stuff. If you want to hear us talk about it on the show, let us know.
That's right. Okay, so yes, I definitely feel 2021
relate, right?
here. I felt that way all year long. But I gotta say, the fast food thing is interesting because when you think about it, very often, you ever, when you're flying back into the country and you see people bringing fast food, the most famous one, Pollo Campero coming into El Salvador, right? Or Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly, yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, even Cinnabon, all types of things like that.
Yeah.
I think, but since we looked at the poll, I've never seen Wendy's. So.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I do love the ranking. The favorite. Should we do favorite fried chicken or favorite?
I think so too.
Tacos, man, that would be a fight.
Yeah.
Everybody has their preference.
Yeah, let us know. Actually.
All right. So that's it for us for today. Thank you for letting us know what's trending, Gavin. I know you're always up to date with what's happening on social. So we appreciate it. And if you'd like to contact us, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.